mga incidents, ano ba yung mga programa na matulungan itong mga red tag, no? Kung mapipigilan ang red tagging sa bansa. So ano-ano po ba yung mga measures, serbisyo, tulong na pwedeng maibigay po ng CHR?
Maraming salamat po. Una po, sa mga kaso na na-file or iniimbestigahan ng Commission on Human Rights concerning red tagging, iniimbestigahan po yan, tuloy-tuloy po yan, and ang isa sa pinaka-importanting ginagawa ngayon ng komisyon ay nagsasagawa ho kami ng national inquiry on the situation of human rights defenders focused on red tagging. Nagsimula na ho kami noong July at patuloy ho yung aming national inquiry dito. Ang layunin po niyan ay siyempre mahinto ang red tagging kung meron. At pangalawa, magkaroon tayo ng konkretong definisyon ng kung ano ba ang red tagging o kung tama ba na red tagging ang term na dapat gamitin. At pangatlo, isa sa layunin nito ay makapagrekomenda ng angkop na batas or measure o kung ano mang alituntunin upang matugunan ang problema ng red tagging. Bukod ho dyan, ang ginagawa ho ng komisyon ay meron ho kasi kaming modest witness protection program sa komisyon. So kung mayroon hong pangangailangan ng security, pwede ho kaming magbigay niyan. Pero sa ngayon, I think wala ho kaming ganito ngayong kaso. And also, kung meron hong risk, yun po, kung may risk, witness protection, and also kung kailangan ho ng support, we also provide legal aid to victims. And also we collaborate with local and international human rights organizations para madokumento ho at maipatupad yung accountability ng mga nag-violate.
So, thank you, Madam Chair. So, I understand wala pa rin naman po tayong batas, no? Para talagang ma-put into accountability itong mga nagre-red tag. Lalong-lalo na yung mga government officials, mga agencies, at iba pa. Ito, ma-example ako, Madam Chair, no? Ngayon lang ito, August. So, yung provincial LCAC along with, ito sa Laguna po, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, 2nd Infantry Division of the Philippine Army push ito yung ano no, nagkaroon po ng pati ang Department of Education, Commission on Human Rights, TESDA, to conduct seminars in school under the guise of the national security. No, kabilang po dito no yung Laguna Provincial Peace and Order Council. So kasama ang DepEds, CHED, tsaka TESDA. So ginagamit talaga no lahat ng mga agency nitong mga militar na ang supposed to be seminars ay hindi siya different from ones conducted in the different barangays. So dito po, Madam Chair, sinasabi, kunwari, peace and order, pero dinidescribe po dito ang lahat ng mga legitimate na mga people's organization as mga terrorists. Kabilang na nga dyan yung Gabriela, ang Kilusang Mayo 1, at iba pa, at nire-relate ito, no, nililink doon sa Communist Party of the Philippines. So with this, Madam Chair, nangyayari itong na mga ganitong mga seminars, na mga red tagging. So syempre ang mga tao na nakakadinig nito, kahit ang mga estudyante o mga kabataan nakakarinig nito. So magkakaroon tuloy ng magiging problema doon sa pagtingin dito sa mga legitimate na mga organizations na ito. So nakarating ba ito, Madam Chair, sa ating Commission on Human Rights?
Go ahead, Chairperson.
Hindi pa ako familiar, but we are verifying kung ito karating na sa ating regional office. Meron po i-imbestigahan namin, and we will do appropriate measures and actions po.
Yes. So, hindi po dampan po ito no na nangyayari na nagtatago sa peace and order na mga mga seminars, pero ang ginagawa ay talagang vilifying no at linking no yung mga people's organization sa terrorism. Okay? So, siguro ibigay na lang namin yung mga um, actual na mga incidents, no? May mga nangyari din kasi and even Madam Chair, yung mga union members dito sa officers ng PhilFoods, Fresh Baked Products, Fuji Electric Philippines, HKR Philippines, Gardenia, dito sa Laguna po ay nakakaranas din po ng red tagging. Kasi very dangerous ito, no? Ipaglaban mo lang yung iyong karapatan para sa sweldo, para sa karapatan ng pag-uunyon, or yung mga karapatan na dapat na nakukuha ng ating mga manggagawa, ay nire-red tag ka na, no? So, very dangerous itong mga nangyayaring ito. Na-experience nga namin, Madam Chair, kahit kami sa Alliance of Concerned Teachers, yung aming union, na sinasabi ay yung paghingi ng pagtaas ng sweldo ay parang nire-red tag na rin kasi sinasabing ayan yung mga organisasyon na yan na humihingi ng mga pagtaas ng sweldo, mga komunista yan. So talagang talagang ang concept talaga ng red tagging ay talagang nakakapahamak. Kaya Madam Chair sana may magawang bukod sa binanggit ni Chair tungkol doon sa mga ginagawa nila konkreto ay sana ay ano pa ba yung pwede? Alba, kasi ito mga government agency ito, mga militar ang nire-red tag, no?
Kindly wind up.
So kaya sana po ay maimbestigahan, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Maraming salamat po. Makikipag-ugnayan po yung aming advisory council nung National Inquiry on red tagging para alamin po at makuha yung detalye ng mga binanggit niyo pong mga insidente.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm manifesting for second round.
Yes, we will take note of that. And the next interpellator is Representative Khalid Dimaporo, my good neighbor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My first question is especially because I'm a third-termer congressman, and I was here in the two previous Congresses. And from what I remember, the CHR had to suffer political setbacks in the previous administration. So in regards to the budget, since there's so far in the previous interpellators moves to support and to increase the budget of the CHR, I'd like to ask the question. Because from what I remember, we decreased your budget around 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, yeah. But before, the previous administration, what was the original budget of the CHR? Because it should not be only increase the CHR's budget. It should be restore the CHR's budget prior to this political backlash against the CHR in the previous administration.
So, ito yung budget. Nung 2019 po, we were provided 829 million. Noong 2020, 928 million. 2021, 925, a slight decrease. In 2022, 964 increase. And in 2023, 1 billion and 2 million. And in 2024, 981. So there is a decrease for this year, the current year. Meron hong mga congressional insertions na ibinigay sa amin to augment our budget. But as we can see, over the years from 2019 to 2023, there is a consistent gradual increase. But there was a decrease for this year, 2024.
Madam Chair, I would like to ask the Commission on Human Rights if they have on them the amount allocated to them 2015 and 2016.
We don't have it right now, Your Honor.
Just like then to request that when they do find it, send the copy to the committee secretariat so that this committee can study whether or not the amount allocated, which is 980 plus million, is fair. You know. It will help us give some sort of bearings in terms of the Commission on Human Rights. Secondly, Madam Chair, I'd like to ask the Commission on Human Rights if they have field offices and what are the budget allocated for these field offices per region.
We have 16 regional offices spread all throughout the Philippines, Your Honor. Budgetary allocation.
Madam Chair, so that we can expedite the discussion, I will suffice that it can be submitted to the committee secretariat. But I would like to bring my interpellation to the point, which is the budget for the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. How much is allocated by the CHR?
Yeah. For the BARM region, Your Honor, we do not have specific regional office stationed in the BARM area, but we have 4 regional offices catering to the entire BARM. So we distributed, we divided the BARM area among the 4 regional offices of the Commission on Human Rights. The reason for this is that BARM has its own Bangsamoro Human Rights Commission, which is the one looking into performing the functions of the human rights within the BARM area, within the region. But as the Commission on Human Rights, as the National Human Rights Institution, we ensure that we still cover the BARM area by designating the 4 regional offices to cover this region.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to know if the Commission on Human Rights is in good coordination with the Bangsamoro Human Rights Commission, especially in regards to the budgetary allocation to them from the block grant.
We have a good relationship with the Bangsamoro Human Rights Commission, Your Honor. In fact, we have a memorandum of agreement with them on promotion services. So we capacitate them on in the performance of their human rights promotion services. There was a discussion, there's an ongoing discussion on memorandum of agreement for Human Rights Protection Service, but it has taken its toll. Hindi pa ho kami nakapag-finalize ng MOA. With regard to the budget, wala ho kaming discussion on the budget of the Bangsamoro and the budget of the Commission on Human Rights.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate it's really a breath of fresh air that you have not abandoned the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. We get that a lot from national line agencies dahil may block grant, dahil by BOL, bahala na sila sa buhay nila. But in the case of the Commission on Human Rights, you're still there like their big brother, their kuya, no, to make sure that human rights, the mandate of human rights will be implemented within the autonomous region. Now, I'd like to bring into my next line of question, Madam Chair. This is the Marawi siege, because that is actually the problem that we had. Were there any findings of human rights violation when it comes to the Marawi siege?
There is, Your Honor. There was a report prepared by the Commission, in fact, and financial assistance were given to victims of human rights violations. And we continuously monitor the situation in Marawi to monitor the IDPs as a result of the siege. IDPs meaning the internally displaced persons, Your Honor. The condition of their living condition. And we also have recommendations to address the situations of the IDPs in Marawi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'd like to request again from the Commission on Human Rights if we can have a copy of that document submitted to the committee secretariat. Next, I'd like to ask Madam Chair, because one of the accomplishments of this Congress, previous Congresses as well, was the creation of the Marawi Compensation Board. Is the Marawi Compensation Board also being monitored or in good coordination with the Commission on Human Rights?
Yes, Your Honor, and the board is communicating with the Commission on Human Rights with regard to the compensation.
Madam Chair, when the Marawi Compensation Board was being pushed here in the lower house, actually I was the one that was tasked to shepherd it out of the committee and ultimately to third reading in the plenary. So I do have vested interest in this, not only because my family is originally from the Lanao del Sur area, but also I know that it was patterned after the Human Rights Violations Victims Claim Board, which is under RA 10368. So now when it comes to disbursement of compensation, I'd like to know the performance of the Human Rights Victims Claim Board so we can gauge it against the Marawi Compensation Board. Because that's a problem now, sinasabi nila masyadong matagal, masyadong matagal, masyadong matagal. But from what I remember, it was painstakingly slow when it comes to the implementation of RA 10368.
May I request our executive director to answer the question, Your Honor?
Yes,
You're
Your Honor.
recognized,
Thank you, Your
Executive
Honor.
Director Jacqueline.
Yes, Your Honor, we do confirm that at the time that HRVCB was still active, it was slow in terms of the release of compensation, and that is the reason why the Congress issued a joint resolution subsequently designating the CHR to distribute the remaining money that was left undistributed by HRVCB. At the time that the CHR assumed the responsibility of the HRVCB under the joint resolution, we were able to at least provide majority of the compensation to the recipients, and our success rate was at least more than 90% at that time, Your Honor. Thank you.
How long did this take from the creation of the law till you've succeeded in dispersing 90%? How many years?
Your Honor, if my recollection is accurate, HRVCB had a lifetime of about more than 5 years, I think. And then when the CHR assumed under the joint resolution, we had a little over a year to distribute the remaining compensation then.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So that's roughly 6 years. I bring this up now just to make my point in form of manifestation so I can close. Unfortunately for us here in the Congress, members of the majority cannot question in the plenary. So I have to bring this up here. Our issue with the Marawi Compensation Board, one, is the budget they requested. They requested for 60 billion. Okay? Then after that, they made an assessment, baka 30 billion ang kailangan. What they actually got was only 1 billion last year and 1 billion this year. The first question I asked DBM was what the utilization rate was. For 2024, 0%. For 2023, it's very small also. But when I talked to the members of the Marawi Compensation Board, what they said is, we actually adjudicated already. And we've sent it to DBM last year's 2023. So that 1 billion pesos that was adjudicated, only 300 million was given to the victims. Yung 600 million, pending pa yan sa DBM. And unfortunately, I don't have the privilege of asking that again. So I'd like to appeal, since the Commission on Human Rights is acting like a big brother, when it comes to the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, to help also monitor the compensation being released to the Marawi victims. Because, again, we don't want this to happen again, that the release of compensation will be very slow. And lastly, and more importantly, this implementation of this Republic Act, the Marawi Compensation Board, is actually an accomplishment in terms of human rights under the Bongbong Marcos administration. So I hope we can get the support of the Commission on Human Rights on this. Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me time to state my concerns.
Thank you, Your
Yes.
Honor, and we commit to help and render our assistance in the monitoring of the compensation, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, and I do appreciate also, because I know it's not, a question about DBM releasing